Let's talk about Lambda functions before talking about any other thing. So there are three important things. One is map, one is filter, and other one is Lambda expressions. Let's talk about map and filter first, and then we'll go ahead with Lambda. Map is what? When you have some functions already written and like you want to map a list of values or map the list of elements to that function to get the desired output. You use map function and you don't want to define or write the for loop, means it itself acts as an iterable object. Map and filter itself acts as an iterable object. How we can use it and what is basically the main understanding of this, let's see by example. You have defined a function named as square, which will basically return the square of any value. I have the list of numbers with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I have to execute this in a normal way, I have to write a for loop, right? I have to write a for loop. And when I start writing a for loop, at that time, I will get like for num in this my nums, and then I will put this. But when you use map here, you are not defining any loop or something. You just pass your function name and the list which you want to pass. That's it. It itself acts as an iterable object. So to any function, it will be an iterable object. But again, the problem is that this gives the output or the type of this is map, and it gives some memory allocation address to us. So to get the output or to get the result, you have to convert it into the list or tuple, whatever you want to convert that. This is the map. Let's say if you are doing some string and you want to get only even strings from that. So you can use this. And this is how you can define map. So map function is nothing. It acts as a iterable or as a iterator to any function. Okay. To any function, map is an iterator. Okay. See, in input 1, I have defined a function named as square, purpose of which is to print the square of the numbers. Input 2, I have the list of the numbers. Scenario, if you want to print the list of the list of the squares, you will be writing a for loop, definitely, so that you can iterate over a list and you can calculate the square of each number. But here with the you can avoid writing the for loop and you can just use the map function. You pass your function like which is basically having the logic to do the calculations, and the my num is nothing. It is the parameter or it is the argument value which you anyways will be passing inside the num inside your function. And once you convert to the list, you see in out 7 that we have the C. Normally, if you would be passing the same thing in any other, like when you were, let's say that if you are calling this function square, so you will be passing 2 values already, right? If you have none, here also you are going to do the same thing. Okay, let's talk about the lambda function. Now, lambda function is nothing. It is basically the anonymous function. So, anonymous function means it does not have its own any name. Okay, you don't have to worry about its name, its scope and these things. You can directly define the lambda function using the lambda keyword. It is just a single line of statement. You don't write like you are writing function like a block of statement and all. Lambda, you don't write like a block of statement or that. It is just a single line of statement. Let's try to understand that how you can write this with a small example. You have a function named as square and you are doing the square and you are returning the result here. And you will be calling it like this. To simplify it more, you can remove this return from here. Return result, you can remove this from here and you can write it return num into 2. Means you can write directly return num into 2 rather than assigning one more variable and putting it into that. Okay. Not to simplify it more, you can just put it in one line also. This will also work. But with lambda, if you have to do the same, so as I said, you don't need to define the name of the function. So this got skipped here. Okay, you don't need to define the return type or something. So lambda, you don't need to define def only the whatever the operation you want to perform, you can write that. Whatever the operation you want to perform, you can write that, and this will give you the desired output here. Like you can assign it to particular variable, and you can. So lambda is like the anonymous function which does not have any name or anything. It is a single line of a statement rather than having a block of statements. So like for less complex on these functions and all, you can use lambda, like where if you basically you can use lambda map and filter together, or lambda and map filter together, lambda and filter together, like that. So here you see that I have written this and I pass the argument, and then I am passing map. It will give me this. Here lambda n colon n mod 2 equal to 0, filter this. So you can use with lambda these map filters together, you can use it. So here you see that I want to grab the first character of a string. So it has given lambda s colon s comma 0, s of 0. Okay. So see, the thing is, if there are few of the differences, okay, between lambda and these, which you guys are not able to understand right now. That's why we all are facing issues. Lambda function is immediately callable, means it basically follows a standard known as IIFE. Okay. IIFE means immediately invoke function execution. Immediately invoked function execution means that lambda function will be called as soon as it is defined. Other functions and all, what you is there, until unless you are not calling them, it will not be invoked, right? This is, so if you want to execute some of those functions which, or if you want to write these those functions which immediately can be invoked, which can be called immediately at the same time, so that you can use those outputs afterwards, in that cases also you can use the lambda. Okay, so I'm not saying that the you should not use function, you should use lambda. It's just one of the approach with which you can replicate it, considering your requirement and these things where it can be fit properly. Okay, means where there are certain requirements and stuff where it can be fit properly. Let me see if I have something in like in my local one. I have something here. In this one, I have not. That is in the server. That code is there basically, where I have written these lambda and map combined together. So those are in the server. So I'll give you some examples, the real time examples where it can be there. So with these basic even and odd examples, I know like will not get much detailed one, but I'll give you some examples here. Okay, let's start with the files. And what else is left was, okay, got it. So let's start with files. Now we have like different text files, emails, and the Excel and all these things, which are like already there. And if you want to read those files and save those files, or do some operations on those files, so Python provides you the those features as well, with as like other languages provide you, that you can use the open method, you can use the read method, and these things which can basically help you in reading the files and appending the data and these things to the file. So one way to reading or writing through a file is that you can go ahead with this percentage like file if you write. So this will override any file. Okay, this is one way, but this is for IPython, which is a different thing. We don't like talk about that very much. So let's forget about this. Let's talk about the normal methods which we have in Python. If you want to open any file, you can use open method, and the file name, whichever you want to open, you have to give the complete path of that file name, and it will open that file. Okay. If it is not there, it will give you error as no such file or directory present. Now, if you want to read that file, so once you have opened that file, you can use the method as read. It will read the file. But there is a problem. I want to read this file. I am reading this file from here. My cursor keeps on moving from Python, like it will read one by one line here, and it will come till here. After that, if you try to read it again, can anyone tell me what will happen? I have this file to read. Python has read and it has displayed the output here. Now after that, again I want to read it. What will happen?
It will start from the last point, I think. It will not go back again to the point 0.
Exactly. That is the whole point here, that it will not go back to this, because cursor is at this point for the file which you have already read, and now if you want to read further, it will give you the blank output because I don't have anything. So you should use a method name as seek. Once you have read the file, put method seek and put it the pass the value as 0, so that it will go back to this index 0, so that if you read again and again, it will read that file rather than. Okay, now if you want to read line by line, so you can do read lines. It will give you the output in the list format. Okay, once you have done all the open the file, read the file, seek, then go ahead and close the file using close method. Now you can open the file, read the file in different modes or in different permissions. Those will be your R, that is read permission. Okay, W, that will be your write permission. W plus will be write and read both permissions. And you will have append mode, that is A, which will be basically adding the text in the file. So you can write anything to the file using this write method, and again you can use this seek method and then read it and close it. For appending, you can open the file with A plus mode, which will basically allow you to append the text and read it. So you can write, it will be like overwriting the file after that. Sorry, it will be adding to the same file, and you will get the values here and you can close it. So these are very basic things, but there are some of the modules which are very important and very good modules. These are like when you are trying to read any file from local or something, so you can use these files. Okay, let's say that I will show you some example if I have here. I don't have any example like thing here. I'll show you guys like at the end. Once I stop the recording, because sometimes these recordings goes in YouTube. So okay, so this is how you can work with files where there are very simple methods: open, read, write, and all this. Okay.